This is not an I told you so. This is not an I told you so. This is not an I told you so. This is not an I told you. I mean, it's really not, because I have no idea where this market is headed next. But the headline isn't wrong. At least in the past 4 to 6 weeks, the market has definitely bounced back. We're gonna unpack what all that means here in just a hot second. Stay tuned. Okay, flashback. Early January, mortgage applications nationwide jumped like 28%. That's a pretty big jump, even though they were at about, I don't know, 0. I mean, December was just a basement for mortgage applications. Yeah. In fact, a lender friend of mine sent me an article that was talking about how mortgage applications were negative. Negative. I don't know how you can have a negative mortgage application. It either comes in or it doesn't. You apply or you don't. You can't unapply. I guess you apply, then you take it back. No takesies backsies, okay? That's just not a thing. We can't do that, right? Anyway, mortgage applications shot way up, which then in turn is a leading indicator of what? That people are gonna start putting homes in contract, right? Yes. So that is what we have seen happen over the past 4 to 6 weeks. Our phones have been ringing with buyers ready to go. And not only have our phones been ringing, but lenders I talk to have been talking about their phones have been ringing and how many pre-approvals they're sending out on a daily basis. But even further along now, it's becoming a little bit more clear as to what's happening. There is, or was, pent up demand from people who kind of took the holidays off, or maybe even just jumped up on the fence over the past 6 months. And we are seeing that demand come back to the market. A local builder that we are familiar with went from selling 1 or 2 homes a week over basically the last quarter to about 15 a week, just in this last handful of weeks here. It's such a drastic change that even negotiating with them when we've been writing offers of our own to these builders, has been a challenge because they're flooded with so many deals immediately that they're having a hard time maybe even keeping track of them. They're having a hard time juggling them. Now, I'm not trying to say that we knew that this was going to happen, because honestly, it could be a New Year's bump in demand. But then again, it might not be. But what I will say is that I do still believe that new construction is going to continue to benefit from our low inventory crisis that we do have going on right now, still. I'll tell you that 2 weeks ago, maybe 4 by the time you see this video, depending on when it comes out, a couple of weeks ago for us, we were looking at all of the homes that had gone pending over the weekend, and 2/3 of them were new construction, and not, for some of you commenters out there, by institutional investors. We don't really do a whole lot of that here in Bend. Now, that's not normal, having 2/3 of all the homes that went in escrow over the weekend over the whole market be new construction. That's way not normal. But when you look around, that's kind of all that's available right now. There are resales out there, but they're not nice. Some of them are. Don't be offended if you're a realtor watching this. Your house is nice, it's pretty. But they're either in major disrepair, or they are in a really awkward location, like they back up to a really major road, or they back up to train tracks, or the next door neighbor's got a junkyard.
How's it going, man?
Just nobody wants to live in these kinds of properties, okay? Now, on the contrary, we are starting to see fewer, albeit there's fewer of them, but newer to market and nicer homes sell quickly. Okay, now pay attention, because this is the main point of the video. Right now, properties coming to the market that are in good condition and are in good locations are selling quickly. You can't just sit around and wait for them to collect 90 days on market and then try to swoop in and lowball them and get a deal. It's not gonna happen. Last week in my office's sales meeting, everyone who wrote an offer, almost everyone who wrote an offer that weekend, was in a multiple offer situation. And this ranged from about the $500,000 range all the way up to north of $1 million. Almost every single one of them. Yikes. That, again, maybe not. There is some evidence that this might be a temporary bump, maybe a New Year's bump. Mortgage applications did fall a bit after that peak in early January. So maybe things will settle down here in a little bit and it'll return to a more normalized market just ahead of the spring fever that is common. But one thing is still for sure. Inventory is down and demand is coming back. Okay, so let's talk about interest rates for just a second. Now, I say this all the time, but don't really put a whole lot of stock in what you hear on the news. Everybody's just trying to get clicks, just like I am with some sort of inflammatory title. But the reality is that you'll hear the news say that interest rates are down a bunch. They're not really down a bunch. I mean, they're down a little bit. What's more important is that they've stabilized and they are settling down. They aren't so erratic, up and down, you know, but the low 6s is what you can probably expect. But they aren't 7, so that's a win. If they drop into the high 5s, well, then we may really see a bump in demand, potentially. I have to say, an agent that I do respect that works in a completely different part of the country recently was saying that this is the most challenging market that he's ever worked in, and he's been doing this a lot longer than I have. And I think that's true, but only really because it's changing so quickly. Real estate used to be such a slow-moving, lumbering giant, and the industry was the same. It just lugs along. It doesn't change much. It's just the way it's always been. And a bunch of that has changed. The market has become nimble. Agents themselves have become nimble and kind of quick to adjust. And then obviously interest rates, again, well, when they move as fast as they did, I mean, what are you gonna do? In the end, real estate is hyper local. You can read all the headlines you want, but when it actually comes down to buying a house in a particular town or a particular neighborhood, make sure you have an agent that has their finger firmly on the pulse of the market where you're buying or selling, so you can actually get some valuable information on what's happening in real time. Okay, so there you go. That was your real-time market update. It's back for now. Maybe forever, who knows? Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It really helps market our channel out there to the masses. And of course, if you are in the market to buy or sell here in the Central Oregon area, my team and I would love to be your resource of choice. Feel free to reach out to us at krommrealestate.com. We would love to hear from you, hear your story, get involved and help you buy or sell the home of your dreams. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.